Hi loves, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. I am Chinwendu. If you are stumbling upon my channel for the very first time, you are welcome. If you have been a returning subscriber, you are most welcome. Thank you for all of your support. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I sewed this beautiful gown. In my last tutorial I shared with you guys how to cut it out. If you haven't seen that tutorial, please do well to link in the description box. Let's get started. If you are interested in this particular tutorial, do make sure to watch from beginning till the end. Okay, do not skip any detail. So here is the pattern which we drafted out the last time, and here is the material I'm going to be using. This material is a scuba. It is actually a light scuba and it stretches both ways, so we are going to be folding our fabric. Now guys, when you are making use of a crepe or a scuba fabric, you want to check the side that stretches more, because both lengthwise and widthwise stretches. Okay, so I'm folding my fabric into two. After folding my fabric, I'm going to bring in my pattern and then place it on top of it. You can see, and then you are going to have to spread it out just as you can see me trying to do. The more you spread it out, the more the cowl neck will be able to come out. You want to make use of your pins. It is very important. So I'm trying to pin it up, and once I am done, I will try as much as possible to adjust this the way I want it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to pin it up and at the same time arrange this properly. So however you want it, go ahead and do that. Now guys, you can either be cutting it out this way, but I choose to cut it out this way because I really want my cowl neckline to come out very well. So if you want it to come out very well, do make sure to take it upwards. Okay, so now after that, I'm going to add up 1/2 inch to the down parts. Now remember, this is a gown, so this 1/2 inch I'll be using it to join the upper part to the down parts. After that, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches on the waistline and then 1 inch to every other parts. Okay, so I'm using 1.5 inches on the waistline because I closed up my darts during the cutting of this. So if you watch that particular tutorial, you'll be able to understand. Okay, because I stated that I'm going to replace just half of my dart intake. Now I'm trying to cut this out. To the shoulder, I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch for shoulder stitching allowance. Now for now, I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch to the armhole. Okay, so I'm showing this right now in case you're not making use of a very stretchy fabric. Okay, but the inspiration we are working with, the shoulder, that is the part of the armhole, was actually reduced, which I'm going to do later. Okay, now I'll go ahead and notch my shoulder so that I'll be able to locate that place easily. Okay, now after that, I am done with cutting of the front parts. Let's move over to the back. Here is my back pattern. I've folded my fabric into two. I'll go ahead and pin it up just so that it stays stable when I'm cutting this out. First of all, I'm going to cut out the neckline. Now after that, I will go ahead and add up 1/2 inch for my shoulder sewing allowance, and then after that I will continue to cut this out as you can see me doing like this. Now after cutting out the shoulder, I will cut out the armhole. Like I said, I am purposely adding up this 1/2 inch to the armhole. You can actually neglect this part of adding 1/2 inch to the armhole because the inspiration that we are working with, the shoulder isn't too wide, rather it was reduced. Okay, now from here I'm going to add up 1 inch for my side seam allowance of the back. This is because there was no dart closure for the back. I did not even add up any dart allowance to the back. Okay, I went ahead to cut it off, and then to the down part I'm adding 1/2 inch, which I'll be using it to join to the down part. Okay, Now after that, I'm going to cut out these parts. When cutting it out, ensure that you add up half an inch, which you're going to use to turn that part, and then you're going to cut off a little bit from the button allowance. So you can see what I am doing. Now after doing that, I'm going to cut off this zipper allowance. Okay, so now we have the back and here is the front. Now guys, from here I'm going to be cutting out the facing. If you don't want to make use of a facing, go ahead and use your bias to turn the neckline and the armhole. So I placed my fabric on fold and then placed in the front piece. Now to cut my facing, I am going to cut through to the armhole area. Okay, this is not just the facing that you cut out just on the neckline, so it ran through the armhole, and this facing is a bit shorter than the actual piece, as you can see. Now again, I'm going to be reducing the shoulder. So from the side, I went in by just 1 inch, just to have like our inspiration, because it does not have extended shoulder. The shoulder is not wide. They reduced the shoulder, okay, because this is not coming with a sleeve. Now that we are done with the fronts, I'm going to also cut out facing for the back. So place my fabric into 2 and then bring in the back piece. Now the next thing I'm going to do is reduce the shoulder of the back as well. So I came in by 1 inch, okay, and connected it to the underarm. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to start from the neckline to cut this out, as you can see, and then I'm going to go through to the shoulder and then reduce the shoulder, as you can see. Now once I'm done with this part, I'm going to cut out the side seam, and you guys, I'm also going to cut out the back. Seeing my chalks on this fabric might be very difficult. I am sorry about that. This is because of the type of fabric that I'm using. This is a scuba. It stretches too much. The type of fabric I am using contributed to that. I am done cutting out the back facing. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and here is the skirt. Remember that when we were cutting this, we cut out both the upper parts and the skirt parts at the same time, okay? So here is a skirt pattern. All you have to do is cut it out on your fabric, okay? Now to determine the length of your gown, go ahead and remove the half length. The half length is 17 inches, and then take it down to the length that you want. Here I'm using 45 inches, including my folding allowance. I've also added my side seam allowance of 1 inch, and then to the upper part I added half an inch. Now that is for the fronts. Here is the back part. I've added my zipper allowance and then the side seam allowance of 1 inch. Now that I've explained this, we are going to start sewing this together. So we are going to be starting with the upper parts. Here is the front piece and the back piece. Go ahead and put aside the back piece, and then you're going to have to open up the front pieces, okay? Now after opening this up, bring in the back of the actual fabric and ensure that the right sides of the front and the back are facing each other, so that you'll be able to join the shoulders together just like this. After joining the shoulder of one side, you're going to also join the shoulder of the other side, and please remember that we are joining the actual pieces separately and then the facing separately. After joining the actual piece, go ahead and bring in the facing and also join them just like I joined the actual pieces, okay? So here is the front piece, and then the back. You're going to make sure that the right side are facing each other, and then you're going to be joining the shoulders just like this. Now after joining this is what I have. You can see, so this is for the actual pieces. Now you're going to bring in the facing, and you're going to use your facing to turn the neckline of the actual piece. So what you're going to do is ensure that the actual pieces is placed on the table, and then the facing should be on top, making sure that the right side are facing each other. And then you're going to have to align the shoulders properly, just like I'm showing you right now. Now, after aligning the shoulder of one side, align the shoulder of the other side, and then you stitch up just like I'm showing you using 1/2 inch. After stitching that, next you are going to have to stitch up the back. Now, to stitch up the back, you're going to start with the center back, which is where the button is going to be placed. So as you can see, I'm trying to arrange this. I'm going to stitch up like this and then like this. Okay, remember that our back is open. Now, after doing that for one side, go ahead and repeat the same thing for the other side. But for one side of the back, you're going to have to add up a loop, which you're going to use for your button. Okay, so here is the pieces I'll be using to work on my loop. Now I'm going to fold the pieces and then stitch it up, turn it over to the right side, and then place it inward before sewing the center back. Okay, I hope you understand my explanation. Now guys, I am done stitching this, and this is what I have. Go ahead and give it a notch so that this will be able to stay flat. Now this is what my loop looks like. I just brought it out to show you guys. Now after this, I'm going to equally turn my armhole. This is exactly why I made sure that my facing extended to the armhole area. So you're going to have to stitch up the armhole so that we'll be able to have a nice finishing right there, because this gown does not come with a sleeve. Okay, so I am done stitching up the armhole. Now next, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over to the right side. So after turning one side, I'm going to equally turn the other side. And then once I am done, I'll move over to my ironing table and then use my steam iron to give this a good press. Okay, just before you give this a good press, ensure that you bring out all the necessary fabrics. Okay, because this is so pointy. When you are turning it, you have to be sure that you brought out all the whole fabric. Okay, so move over to the ironing table, give this a good press, and yeah, you can see what the upper part looks like. We are almost done with this. So guys, now let's go ahead and work on the skirts before joining this gown together, because we need our skirts to join to the upper parts before stitching up the side seams. Okay, so here is my back and the front skirts. I'm going to put aside the front parts and then show you what to do to the back piece. Remember that the back piece has two pieces. So from the waistline, you're going to come down by 9 inches. This is where our zipper for this down part is going to stop, and from the down part, come up by about 13 to 15 inches for your slits and place a mark. Now before you do this, you must have marked out 1 inch, which you're going to use to stitch up your zipper. So guys, I've stitched up my skirts, and what I did was from the waist I stitched down to the 9 inch using a loose stitch, and then from the down part I stitched upwards using a loose stitch to this 13 inches as well, and then the center I stitched up with a tight stitch. Okay, so reason is because you are still going to loosen up from the waistline to this 9 inches and from the down part to the 13 inches. So after I was done stitching up the back part of my skirts, I went ahead to join the waistline of my gowns together. Okay, so I joined the waistline of the upper part to the waistline of the down part, and this is what you can see on top the table. Okay, so now guys, I'm going to arrange this properly so that we'll be able to join the side seam. I'll be joining the side seam using 1 inch, which is the allowance that I left for joining the side seam. After that, I'm going to go ahead and fix in my zipper and then finish up the hemline. As you can see, I've also gone ahead to open up the slit allowance, and I've also fixed in my button. Okay, if you notice, the zipper is an invisible zip, and then for the button I made use of a cover button. Okay, so I created my button with the fabric. Now here is what the front looks like. I'm going to be styling this so that you guys can see. So this is what the cowl neckline looks like. You can equally push it out to the outer part or push this inwards just like this. So guys, this is where we'll be ending this tutorial. If you find it helpful, do make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it so that more people can get to see it. You can see that my bra hands are showing. This is because I'm wearing a bra with a hand. If you want to wear yours, please make sure you are not wearing a bra with a hand. I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.